Yes. I don't know. God. Go for it, Mike.
All right, I guess we'll get started. It's about 8:59. I'd like to call a meeting to order. If you have your cell phone, please mute it for the meeting. Becky, will you do roll call?
I sure will. Jim Sheeline, Mike Book.
Here.
Oh, he is. Okay. Tom Kitson,
Present.
Larry Mimini,
Yes.
Tim Bivens,
Present.
Nancy Naylor.
Present.
Okay. Public attendees. Anybody who's not a board member or a department head would like to speak at this time? Alice?
Good morning. I've been trying to visit with all the boards this week. We have Stewart Creek Solar coming up. Accessory to their project is battery storage. And there's been some confusion as to the moratorium we have for battery storage and why it's being allowed in this project. So I just wanted to clarify that under the new siting standards set forth by the state last year, they do allow for battery energy storage systems as an accessory use to wind and solar. Our moratorium applies to standalone battery storage projects. So if a standalone 600 megawatt project wanted to petition today in Lee County, they would not be able to do so. However, if it's accessory to a project, a wind and solar project they're wishing to build, we can consider it under the new siting standards. Does anyone have any questions?
The guys want to speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Scott Raymer with Hexagon Energy about Stewart Creek Solar. My colleague Will Hansman is here. We're simply here to answer any questions that may come up during discussion. So feel free to talk to us, but otherwise we have no comment to provide. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else that would like to speak at this time? Okay. Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. You take a vote.
No.
Any corrections? Okay, the minutes will stand as presented. Treasurer's report. Paul?
Sorry, I'm going to have Reed take over on that.
Morning, everybody. I guess first, any questions on the reports that were provided? If not, I'll hit the highlights. I mean, from a consistency standpoint and expectations, we're right where we would expect it to be. The only things that I would point out from an expense side of things, we're a little high in county general that relates to the increased cost of the CIRMA insurance. And we're a little over on sheriff, but that was to be over last year, not out of expectations. We're over just due to the new FOP contract.
Okay, thank you.
And then I would point out, it is a quarter. So I've handed you that sheet. You guys will need to acknowledge or sign off that we've kind of gone over the financials, and we'll put those into the record.
Okay. Any questions for Paul? Okay, is there a motion to approve the treasurer's quarterly financial report? Moved by Bivens, seconded by Naylor. All in favor of approving the treasurer's quarterly financial report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is Insurance Committee and Gredco. Nancy, do you have any report?
No, we don't have any this month. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Laram, anything on Gredco?
No, no, sir.
Next item on the agenda is the administrator's report. Jeremy?
Just from an insurance standpoint, since it is on there, just so everybody's aware, for the time being, I have taken over the insurance administrative duties as we're working through some changes internally there. So giving you a heads up on that. Other than that, no, all's good. Any questions for me from an admin side? I know we're going to discuss down the road here, going to talk about the technology modernization grant. So if there's any questions, I know Charlie's going to be able to answer a lot of that, and Paul and I could speak on it as well. So from a finance side, we could discuss some of that when that comes up on the agenda.
Okay. Next item is ARPA. Unless Sarah has something for us before next month, it looks like the next quarterly reports is in April. Okay, thank you. I don't see anything on the agenda for Joseph E. Meyer under an unfinished business. We don't have any that I'm aware of. Let's talk about the new technology modernization grant for the new courts. Paul or Jeremy, do you want to?
I'm going to let Charlie actually speak
Charlie,
on what,
okay.
what this is. And then, if there's getting into how the invoicing process and reimbursement piece, Paul and I could talk on a little bit, and we're going to work with Brian Brim on that. But Charlie has a complete understanding of what this grant is and what it's going to do for the new court system.
Sure. So in the last couple of years, the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts has put forth a grant program. Any of the counties throughout the state can apply for it for technology modernization. The last couple of years, we've asked for around 150, 250,000, depending on what was going on. I've asked for some amount through there for our case management software, and they granted. This year, we decided to try a little bit more and see if they would tell us no to any of this stuff, and they decided not to, except for some radios that were going to go into the new courthouse, and we were able to actually secure a little over $1 million. By getting that, we are able to relieve some of the taxpayers of the burden directly here in Lee County of some of the modernization updates that we would like to do in the courthouse. There's a new courtroom that will be outfitted and built out on the 4th floor with new technology. The 4 courtrooms that are there right now, the 3 on the 4th floor and then the one on the 3rd floor, will also be outfitted with this new technology. And what it is that there's going to be new microphones, new computers, new monitors, basically everything across the board. If you look at one of the jury rooms, like Judge Ackert's room or Judge Lee's room, it's going to have monitors in front of the jurors. It's going to have monitors on consoles tables. It's going to have monitors up at the witness stand. It's going to have huge 80-inch monitors that are going to be on the walls for the jurors or for the presentation of evidence. And that's just in each of the courtrooms. Then there's going to be infrastructure updates that are going to be around as well as the updates that are going on with the HVAC system and the recarpeting that will happen eventually on the 4th floor. We're able to add new power sources in there, add HDMI cables that'll go through that we'll be able to use for courtroom purposes. So what you'll see in your packet is the outline of what all of that's going to be. The majority of it is that $789,291, which is the audiovisual upgrades, which is primarily what I talked about. I would encourage you to kind of take a look at, if you do have time, what the courtrooms look like right now. And I think you'll be pretty pleased with how they turn out afterwards as we've been working through this Nomad systems and what they've got outfitted. You're not going to see much in that fourth courtroom that's on the fourth floor right now because that's traditionally used as DOC holding. It's just a big vacant room right now. Tom Wilson has been working with Judge Ackert as to what the needs will be there, as well as the rest of the Properties Committee and maintenance as to what will be done. It looks like they may be retrofitting the library portion as well as what's Bonnie Rodriguez's office, so that it'll also include judges' chambers back there as well. But as far as the technology portion of that build out and of the other courtrooms, that would be covered by this grant.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to add, Paul? Yeah.
I would add, and Charlie, you'll understand this. This is a reimbursement grant. So the county's going to have to pay for these items first, and then we'll get reimbursed. But we are basically guaranteed the $1 million as if we spend it correctly and on a specific timeline.
By June 30.
Correct. So we've planned for this now, and we will have the cash flow available that we could outlay the cash and then get it back, just so you're comfortable there too.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Paul or, yeah, go ahead. Tim.
And forgive me if you've already answered this. I was trying to listen and read, which I've never been able to do. On the radios, you mentioned the radios, and I'm looking at the itemized technologies request, and it's 39,000, but it says not eligible.
Correct.
Line.
I don't know what the reasoning was behind it, but AOIC, when they went through their process to see what would be eligible under this grant, they decided that the upgrades for the radios for the sheriff's office, for the bailiffs, would not be eligible for this.
Okay, so is that something that is not going to be?
No, this
requested,
is
or-
just a request,
Okay.
and then it's nothing that we have paid for already. It's just the request that we put to AOIC, and then AOIC said, go ahead and spend that money and we'll reimburse you. So that one is the one that we would not be spending the money on.
Okay. Is that, I asked the sheriff this, is that a need for updating?
Yes, we've looked at several different options. We actually looked at putting in another repeater. Kevin Lally was instrumental in doing some of the research on that. However, there's been technology adaptions that Motorola came out with a new radio that if the radio frequency strength is not good, it will go to Wi-Fi. We tried those radios out and they worked perfectly throughout the whole courthouse. Currently, there's a lot of dead spots.
Is it something you'd be looking at in the next budget, or is that?
That's something, yes, we're
Okay.
definitely looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything? Anybody else have anything? Questions?
Mike,
Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
so we met last week with Judge Ackert and Charlie and his team. I just want to comment that really appreciate the work that Charlie's folks has put in on this, and what a fantastic opportunity this is for the county. Even though, my understanding, we have to front, like Paul said, we have to front the money. But it sounds like that the state timeline and reimbursement is relatively short, 4 to 6 weeks. So the advantage that we have and the comments from Judge Ackert is that this is really going to be a game changer in regards to how our courtrooms operate. And so I just want to compliment Charlie and his team on getting this grant and really appreciate the work put in on it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim. All right. Anything else? Okay. The next item is, or it's just a discussion. It's not on the agenda, but we can't take action on it today. It involves a new squad purchase. It's a board action request put in by the sheriff. I didn't know, did you want to speak to this, Clay?
Sure. We actually met with the villages of Ashton and Franklin Grove approximately 2 Saturdays ago as far as discussions for providing law enforcement services with them. Just for the background, the Village of Ashton has not had a police officer for about 3 years now. Franklin Grove's chief recently retired, so they've been vacant for several months. And speaking with them, I provided some costs, and then as part of that, there's a 4-year rotation for a squad car. And squad cars are about $48,000 for new. It just so happens that the villages were very agreeable to the contract and actually got really ahead of me and took it to their councils on Monday night, and both of them passed it. So now we're going to have to hire an additional deputy to cover the 40 hours of service. They decided to split it, I'm sorry. They're splitting it 20 hours in Franklin Grove and 20 hours in Ashton. So that's going to require an additional deputy and require an additional squad car. Our current provider happens to have another squad car on the lot that is available to purchase. Typically, it takes several months after you place an order. So we're trying to take advantage of this opportunity and get an additional squad car for this new deputy.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or
Yes.
thoughts? Tim? Yeah, Tim.
Okay, that's a squad car and the deputy I don't know if you've talked numbers with I mean, they've agreed to a contract. Do you have a contract with numbers plugged in or?
But we just talked some numbers. I'm working on the verbiage of the contract, basically adapting pawpaws to suit the needs of Franklin Grove and Ashton. Once I get the modifications made, I will submit it to Charlie and have him review it. Once he's kosher with it, then we'll submit it to the respective attorneys for Ashton and Franklin Grove.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, we cover all the
They've
benefits.
already apparently approved it in resolutions with their boards. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a go.
And you may not want to answer this public forum, but Amboy was discussing this at one time. Is that still on the table or?
Amboy was discussing it at one time. I think they've gone a different course.
Okay.
I believe that Superintendent Smith came back on full-time in Amboy, and I believe Officer Tom Lehman came back full-time. So they're going to keep their police department at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have
Thank
a
you.
couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Sheriff, I may be jumping through ahead of things, but so if these deputies are hired, whose expense is that? I'm not-
It would be one deputy. and
Okay,
basically
one deputy split twice. Who's responsible for that expense?
The Village of Ashton and
Okay.
Franklin Grove will be splitting the cost.
They'll split the cost, and as well as the fringes and the insurance and all those things that we would pay for?
That was factored in, yes.
Okay. And their like clothing budgets, anything that it would take for them to do business, correct?
The clothing, no. We would absorb the clothing. As far as, body camera, we would absorb that. That would just be an additional camera. We already have the backbone of the system. I mean, there's going to be some cost to the county. It'll be minimal.
Okay, that was the next question about the equipment. And training expenses, will those be up to the county or?
That would be up to the county. Currently, we have somebody that's interested in coming over in a lateral.
Okay.
So that would save us immensely in the training.
Okay. Have one other question about the automobile itself. The amount that you've put in for a request, does that include all of the equipment that would be put on as an aftermarket thing and the painting of it and everything?
It'll cover most of it. We do have some discretionary funds in the DUI fund. Obviously, that would be used
Okay.
for DUI enforcement, so we can use some funds out of there to take care of any voids that we have in outfitting the car.
Okay. I think that's it. Thanks, Clay.
Yep.
Clay, just to clarify then, or round this up, all we're really looking to adjust in budget is price of the car, correct?
Correct. It's just adding an additional car, or basically almost putting out the cost of a car. They're going to be reimbursing us for this cost of the
Right,
car
right.
over 4 years.
Okay. But
So it's
otherwise,
an initial outlay that will be repaid to the
all
county.
the other costs that might come along are in your budget already, correct? I mean, we won't be coming back looking for more money for this and this and this. Okay.
No, we'll be able to take care of it.
Okay, I thought so. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Can I say something?
Yeah,
I wanna
absolutely.
thank Clay I want to thank Clay, the sheriff, for doing this. I live in the area and it's been a very much needed action that needed to happen years ago. So I really appreciate it myself, for Ashton and Franklin both. And I also think that the county will benefit by having an officer in the area, like they do with Papa, in case if there is a call in the area, that officer can also, we don't have to dispatch somebody from Nelson going into Ashton Franklin area anymore. So thank you, Sheriff.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, like I said, this topic was up for discussion. It's added as a late add to the agenda. We can't take any action on it. It's also going to be for discussion at our executive committee meeting. And then if there's consensus in executive, we'll add it to the board agenda for next week.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
So we got executive this afternoon and we're going to have that and we're going to like to put it on the first county board agenda. But I always want to take the temperature of if we follow through with this, we've got to act on it because of the cars available right now. That's why we're trying to figure this out. So I guess we can't vote on today, but I need some more feedback. And are we okay moving forward this on the county board agenda, I guess?
Well,
So we want to take a vote without taking a vote? Is that what we're saying?
Well, we can't do
yeah,
that.
just to have a
Straw poll,
consensus,
an
just to have a
unofficial?
consensus. That's what he's asking
Consensus?
for, yeah. I would like to move along with that.
Tim?
Yeah, I think, as Lerm stated, it is beneficial to the entire county, not only to the villages, but there's a lot of benefits here. It professionalizes law enforcement. It's very difficult for villages to get and keep, retain officers. And so I think there's a definite benefit here. I'm very supportive of it.
And also the villages have approved this on their
Yeah,
own
I think-
last Monday night meetings.
Yeah, I think that really helps that there's support from the villages for this. You can't see anybody.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm fine.
I'm good.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike,
Jim?
so I'd like to echo Liram's comment. Clay, I want to thank you for initiating this and really want to, appreciate the effort you put into it. This is very positive for the coverage of the county, and the one concern that I have is just making sure that we cover our costs to the county adequately. One question I have is that with the agreement with Ashton Franklin Grove, is that time? Is there a time component to that since we haven't seen the contract? I mean, beyond the 40 hours a week. I mean, the length of if we're going to go, the county's going to front the cost of adding an officer, adding a car. How many years is this contract valid? Is it year to year? What are we looking at in that regard?
I spoke with Franklin Grove about it yesterday. Actually, what I was going to do was draw it up for 4 years and then, let them take a look at it. And if they wanted to par it back to 3 years, but we're hoping to at least get a 4-year contract.
Okay. The other thing is do we have any inflation component with this? Because our costs go up over time in regards to the FOP contract. And of course, we have to replace a vehicle. And we're on a shorter cycle than that. I think, aren't we on a 3-year cycle on cars?
I'm pretty sure it was 4 years.
No, is it 4 years? But
Yeah.
just want to make sure that as the contract, and it was mentioned about Pawpaw. We also have a contract with SOC. Probably, Clay, I would encourage you that when we go through the budget process here for the next fiscal year, we probably should take a look at those two contracts at all and see if there's any adjustments that we need to make there. We just, it's a great program. It's a great thing that this is. We just got to make sure our costs are covered.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, for reference, the Pawpaw contract expires this year, November 30th. So yeah, that will be up for renegotiations.
Jim, would you like to see the CPI tied in that contract, or how would you like to see that?
Well, it should be at least tied to the FOP contract, Bob, don't you think? So,
Yeah.
just,
I don't think you want CPI.
It won't cover the raise, yeah.
I was factoring
CPI
in
wouldn't
what the
cover
FOP
the cost.
raises.
Yeah, I think you'd want FOP.
4%.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I just want to clarify it, so when we do the contract, we're all on the same page.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Any other further discussion on the new squad purchase or the contract with Franklin and Ashton? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. I don't see anything for executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Kitson, seconded by Naylor. All in favor of adjourning the meeting?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.